Well, congratulations. 25 years, quarter of a century, and one to really celebrate. I got some questions, Mark. The iconic name of the original club, Marquee, is synonymous with rock and roll. How rock and roll were you 25 years ago?
25 years ago, all I used to do was go to gigs, which is where I had the love of music. And I used to try and play music, listen to music, go to music. So I'd say most probably rock and roll with a few things that I wouldn't talk about. And I would still say I'm quite rock and roll now. Not as many gigs that we go to, but I still listen to music all the time. The conversations within Marquee here are always based around music and bands and styles of music. Yeah, so still rock and roll at heart.
Your image is pretty rock and roll.
This image,
Yeah.
apart from the hair from sort of 30 years ago, but yeah, possibly. I don't think I'm that rock and roll really.
Well,
young
you're looking
people.
like in your age in the music industry.
Well, this year I hit my 60th.
Your 50th.
My 60th, but thank you very much for that. And everything's still working. I think the brain's still working. I think the enthusiasm for business and life's still there, exactly as it was 25, 30 years ago.
Well, 25, 30 years ago, what would you say to your younger self today, having made a fantastic success of Marquee?
100% I'd do exactly the same, because I think in our industry, if you're fortunate enough to end up in our industry, which is usually people end up here by default, don't they? And it's a fantastic industry, it's fun. And I don't really consider that I've worked in 25, 30 years, of which a few people may comment on this and say that you haven't worked in 25 and 30 years.
But your younger self, when you were starting out, did you have a mentor that was helping to guide?
I've had, most probably I could pick 3 or 4 really over the time. My background was recording studios, and the chap who taught me about how a drum kit should sound, how a guitar should sound, how they should all sound together, was a chap called Nick Smith, whose father was Hurricane Smith, who was the engineer for the Beatles. And I think that's where I had a love of music, but I didn't really understand how you would put it together for the end result, really, I think. And he taught me that. So without a doubt, Nick Smith, from an engineering point of view. And then obviously, with the links for the Marquee, people like Barbara Pendleton, who guided me in my youth with business, and Harold Pendleton, her husband, who obviously were the people that started the Marquee Club and Marquee Studios and Marquee Electronics and Marquee Entech, which is the hire company. So without a doubt, Harold and Barbara. And I think, people for me, Myra Hickey was within that organisation, who was a fantastic woman who guided me as well on the business side. So those people, I think, really. I think most of it is how important music is, isn't it? Because, music stretches back for all of us, and I was fortunate enough to fall in love with music at a very early age. Everyone that works within the Marquee AV company, they all love music. And it's something that binds humans together. So if you are fortunate enough to be able to direct a company and surround yourself with like-minded people, we're very fortunate to be here.
What are the key values you uphold and feed into the culture of Marquee that has clearly contributed to the success?
I think really I've learned that you can conduct your business and you need to be honourable and you need to deliver what you discuss. And I think for us that's proved why we're still here after coronavirus, recessions. We're still here and we're still strong and we're still growing. We have clients that have been with me for 20 odd years.
That speaks volumes.
And I think all our project managers, they understand that they need to, what they say, they need to deliver. And then that goes all the way through to whether that's procurement or whether that's the engineers that turn up on site. And we successfully have done that for 25 and 30 years. It's a bit like that analogy with the football team, isn't it? You could be a goal scorer, couldn't you? But really, you come back and defend as well if there's a problem. And that's what we all do. We have a team effort, and whether that's down to making the tea or whether that's down to delivering a project or putting a speaker up on a wall or helping someone put something up on the wall. I think the sharing of the knowledge, not one man knows everything. And for us, we've got that down to a T here where we all share. And quite often what people do at school, they won't put their hand up. And I think I was one of those people that wouldn't put their hand up at school. But we actively encourage that. If you don't know, you ask that question.
What were the low points, if there were any? during building Marquee, and were you resilient?
I can't think of any low points. We obviously say coronavirus was the biggest one, but you know, we kept everyone employed. We were fortunate enough that obviously we applied for grants, and because of our history, our length of time, all the people that we deal with, whether that's from the Barbican to the local bars, clubs, education, it falls into that. And we were fortunate enough to do that. And then on top of that, we had the business secretary came and celebrated our success with us as well. And that was someone in its time. He was from the top table of government. So, you know, we know and we understand about hard times as well as good times. But coronavirus most probably was the only time, because the rest of the time it's all about building and making us better and improving.
What do you think was the proudest moment that you take away from this journey so far?
I haven't reached it yet. And I think that's what drives us on. I'm very proud that we've got the marquee that we push forward that stretches all the way back to the 60s. And I'm very proud and I'm very precious about that obviously we do that justice for all the musicians that have worked under that name. And whether that's from David Bowie to the Rolling Stones, it's a very, very, very prestigious name, and it's an honour to be able to use it. Time and time again, we go into places, whether that's going into a project meeting or going into a manufacturer's meeting, and people will say, the Marquee, I used to go and see blah, blah, blah there. So I haven't reached that proudest moment yet, not yet. But that is what drives us on, you know, and we're always looking for improvement and to do things better, which we can all do things better, can't we, I suppose?
And if you were to think of a song or a piece of music that best reflects the Marquee,
Very good
your
question.
brand,
Very good
what
question.
was that piece of music? Or
Most
song?
probably Long and Winding Road.
Yeah, no, I like that.
That's most probably what it is, you know. We're most probably with a little bit of Bob Dylan art, where he loves painting roads, doesn't he, and journeys. And that's most probably what we're on. We're on a journey where we don't know where the end point is, but we know where it started. And it started with fantastic musicians playing music in London, and we had a discussion earlier where people are very lucky, aren't they, now? They can go and see music everywhere. But it wasn't like that in the 60s. So yeah, Long and Winding Road would be one of the sort of things I'd say.
So what is your wish for the Marquee Company and the brand in the next 25 years?
To continue designing and installing some of the best audiovisual systems, using the best audiovisual solutions and manufacturers out there. If we can continue doing that, then I've done my job.
You used the word precious earlier. Are you precious about Marquee?
Yeah, 100%.
And
Yeah.
you're passionate?
Yeah, 100%.
And at this point in its existence, you should be so proud of 25 years. Are you now considering succession and looking again for the future?
Not quite yet. In a few years, most probably. But yeah, not quite yet.
Well, you're rock and roll.
Keep going. Look at the Stones.
That's a wrap.